Just doing a little bit of thinking. All right, we're gonna get this started while it's thinking about recording. So, welcome to the clinic for flip turns. I hope everyone is healthy and safe. Once again, thank you for all the support. It truly means a lot to us. It's been really fun hearing you guys in some of these meetings, doing these clinics, seeing you guys do the dry land, and then our Saturday leaders brunch, which was a lot of fun seeing a bunch of new faces. So keep it up and thank you all very much. And of course, today is May the 4th. So May the 4th be with you. Hopefully you guys are watching some Star Wars or doing some Star Wars related activities, which is very exciting for everybody. So make sure everyone's in, and then we're gonna get this thing started. Fantastic. I will be going back and forth throughout the day just to make sure everyone is in. So why are flip turns important? Like we talked about with starts, the flip turn off the turn is going to be the second fastest you will ever be in a race. So it's really important that we nail them and we get as much speed as we can coming off of them. If done correctly, you will have a major advantage over everybody else in the race. Done correctly, you have a major advantage. So if you're able to do all the steps like we'll talk about today and execute them well, you will be faster and you'll be able to maintain your speed and momentum over somebody else. And you'll have more speed. You'll have more of that free speed that we like to talk about. However, turns can also be very inconsistent. Even within the same race, if you're doing a 100 free short course, you get 3 turns. You could have one that's fantastic, one that is okay, and one that is horrendous. So the goal is to make them as consistent as possible. You want your 3 turns in 100 free to be as consistent and as equal as possible. That takes a lot of practice and a lot of work, but that's the goal. And they're one of the 2 most obvious things from the stands that parents and spectators can see. When they're watching you swim, they can kind of tell who's good at swimming, but they don't really know what to look for like we do. But when they see someone have a really good turn or a really good start, that's really obvious to them. Like, oh man, so-and-so was swimming really well, but all of a sudden their turn happened and they were far behind again. So that's one of the most obvious things that they can see. And so the things that we can work on the most. So it's the second fastest you'll ever be. You can have a major advantage over people. They can be very inconsistent. So our goal is to make them consistent. And there's some of the most obvious things that you can tell from the stands to work on. All right, before we talk about some catechisms, let's make sure everyone's in. Perfect. Got another person in. So like our starts, we don't really have catechisms for turns, but we do have our turn game. So I took some of the things that we talk about in our turn game and kind of broke them down into some catechisms in our coach's corner. So if you've never done the turn game, it is a game that we do. It's either 4, 5, or 6 50s, where we kind of break down what we look for into a turn. And these are kind of things we look for. And if you do a great job with your turn, you get a point. If you don't do a great job, you don't get any points. And it's up to you to kind of grade your turn. And then we kind of ask everybody, hey, how many points did you get? Well, I got 4. Well, what are the reasons why you got 4 as opposed to 6? Well, on one of them, I breathed on my breakout. Another one, I didn't push off at 11. All right. So that's something we know we can get better at. And the idea behind the turn game is to keep building on that. So now you know, all right, now I know for next time I got to work on having my feet at 11. Next time I got to work on pushing and rotating. So that's the idea of the turn game, is to help you guys understand what you guys need to work at with your turns. So before we start the catechisms, make sure everyone's in. Perfect. So these are our catechisms. We start off with accelerate into turn. You're going to connect your last stroke into your turn. Stay tight. Feet at 11. Push and rotate. Don't breathe on your breakout. So the first one, we don't have any video for it, but we will be watching some race videos later. Accelerate into your turn. It's very simple. You want to pick up your speed into your turn. What goes into your turn is what's going to come out into your turn. So if you slow down and view your turn as a chance to rest, that's going to come out of your turn as well. So you want to make sure that you are going full speed into that turn. Full speed into that turn. Make sure you're not taking a little sneaky breath to the side. You're staying tight. You're staying fast into that turn. And we'll see some examples of that later. So the main one we're going to talk about right now then is connect the last stroke into the turn. We're going to talk about that a little bit with Coach's Corner, but we're going to watch some examples here real quick. So this is Madison Cox. She swims for Texas. Well, she did. Now she swims pro, but she still swims at Texas. So the biggest thing what I want you guys to see right now, we're going to talk a lot about this in Coach's Corner, is how she connects her last stroke into her turn. So she's taking that last stroke, and as she's finishing it, she's starting to bend into her turn. So if you can see here, she is swimming her last stroke. As she's finishing her turn, she's finishing her last stroke, she goes into her turn. Now she's not going as fast as she could, so it's a really good example to watch here of how to finish your last stroke into your turn. And now we're going to watch the same thing, but with backstroke. So we're going to watch one more time Madison Cox, and then we're going to watch one time of backstroke. And we're going to come back to these videos in Coach's Corner, but I feel like this is one of the most important parts of a turn that people need to work on, is connecting that stroke into the turn. Awesome. All right, let's watch some backstroke now. Now, backstroke, it's even more important because now in backstroke, you have two strokes to connect. Backstroke, you have your backstroke stroke into your freestyle stroke and your freestyle stroke into your turn. This is Natalie Coughlin. I believe in 2008, she won the 100 back. I believe she broke the world record at this meet as well. So what I want you to look for is she takes her last backstroke stroke into her freestyle stroke into her turn. She doesn't lose any momentum into that freestyle stroke, and none of her momentum gets lost from her freestyle stroke into her actual turn. She goes back, free, turn. And we're definitely going to watch some videos of this later. We're going to watch Ryan Murphy and maybe Reagan Smith do this. I feel like they're the best in the world at this. Connecting your last stroke of backstroke into your freestyle stroke into your turn. So hopefully you're all seeing that. She goes back. She's finishing her backstroke stroke. She goes into her freestyle stroke. And as she's finishing her freestyle stroke, she gets into her turn. The biggest thing I see is that people take a break. They go backstroke, kind of a little break, freestyle stroke, little break, into the turn. It's all got to be continuous. It's one continuous motion. So before we get to the next catechism, just want to make sure everyone's in here. Boom, we got another person in here. Fantastic. So the next catechism is stay tight. You want to keep your hands close to your body. You want to be nice and tight into your turn. You don't want to have your arms far apart and your legs almost straight as you come into the turn. So we are going to watch Mallory Comerford. We watched several of her races. And I want you guys to notice how tight she is on her turn. This one's in slow motion. We're going to try to get a good pause. So she just started her flip. I'm going to pause it. Look where her hands are right now. They're nice and tight inside of her body. They're not in a T position. She's not using her arms to help turn her body over. She's doing that all with her core and flipping those legs over. So here we go. This is a little slow motion. Feet are planted. Look at that. She is still nice and tight. She can work on her streamline a little bit. See how her hands are crossed a little bit? She can work a little bit on that on this example. But she is tight in the wall. She's not super crunched, but she's not super long either. She is tight. You don't want to be crunched. We've all had those races where we get too close to the wall and our hands are out the side. We have to turn our head to the side and our feet are like pigeon. Our knees are together and our feet are far apart. We don't want to be crunched. We want to stay tight. But we don't want to be super long either. Stay nice and tight. Pushes off nice and well. So there's another good example of this we're going to come to in a little bit. Well, let's see Ryan Lochte do this. We're going to come back. This is one of my favorite videos to look at. So notice here he's flipping. Look at his hands are nice within his body. And look at that. Oh, I didn't get a good chance to pause it. So here we go. So he does his flip. Hands are within his body line. Look how tight he is right there. His knees are coming in towards his chest. His hands are not super far apart. They're right within his body line. And boom, look at that. Perfect 90 degrees, feet are on the wall, back's nice and straight. That is a perfect position to push off from. We're going to come back to this video a little bit with another catechism. This is an awesome video to watch right here. Hands are tight. Knees are close to his chest. About to plant on the wall. Look at his hands are a little bit better than Mallory's. Boom. And then he pushes off. Awesome job. All right, so the next one. Make sure everyone's in. Fantastic. Oop. I think they got in. Awesome. All right, the next one is feet at 11. Feet at 11. So when you are turning, you want to make sure when you're planting your feet on the wall, point your feet towards 11 o'clock. That's going to help you have a nice, good push off to get to that left side down. You want to turn right side down, you're going to turn left side down. So when your feet at 11 o'clock. So that means if you're looking dead ahead, if the top of the pool, the ceiling is 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, your feet are pointing a little bit to the left. Just a little bit. You don't want 9 o'clock. You want about 11. So we'll take a look at that with the video we just watched with Ryan Lochte. Now his are a little bit closer to noon, but you get the idea from here. Feet are planted. They're not pointing to the right. They're pointing a little bit to the left. You can see that a little bit with his left foot. So point a little bit to the left. A little bit to the left. And that helps him push left side down, turning towards the lane line as opposed to towards the middle of the pool. So feet at 11 is going to help you push off the correct way. So you can kind of see it here. His feet, his foot a little bit pointed towards 11. Noon is straight up and down, like right where the T is. 11, you can kind of tell it's a little bit right here. And that's going to help him push off. Now, if they were 9 o'clock, they'd be right here where this part of the T is. You don't want 9 o'clock because that means as you're turning over, you're flipping onto your side, and you don't want that. So you want feet at 11. It's going to help you push off nice and strong and nice in a good direction. If your feet are in 1 o'clock, you're in the opposite direction of where you want to go. So look at his feet. Make sure they're at 11. There's a really good shot that I'm going to try to get paused at. Boom. You can kind of see his foot right here. Look where it's pointed. That's like 11:30, but it still is better than noon. It's much better than 9 or 1. Look at his foot right there. That's 11. You can kind of see where his other foot too. So that's his heel. So you can see his toes are right here. Feet are pointed towards 11. Awesome. Keep that pause right there. Make sure everyone's in. Fantastic. So the next part, push and rotate. This is probably the biggest one that I see younger swimmers do and that we have to work on the most. Push and rotate. So if you look at Ryan Lochte here, look where he's put right here. Look where he's at. Back is straight, chest is pointed up, feet are at 11. Now, if you were to rotate then push, he would point his feet toward at 9 while he's still on the wall, or even at worst, point his feet toward 6 o'clock, which is towards the bottom of the pool, and push off. That is slow, wrong, and just blech. Takes a lot of time to do that. You lose a lot of momentum. So the idea behind push and rotate is you're going to push off the wall and rotate. So that's why your feet need to be at 11. If your feet are at 11, you're going to kind of push off that left side and start rotating right away. So let's take a look at Ryan Lochte a couple times. So here we go. So he's coming into his turn. Nice feet are planted. Look at that. Feet are at 11. Here he goes. And as he's pushing, look at now he's rotating. Now he's rotating. So he's pushed off the wall, and now he's rotating. Now, obviously, in a race, you're going to do this much faster, and this is slow motion. But this is the idea. You want to push and then rotate. It's not feet are on the wall at 11, move your feet, then push off. Feet are at 11, push and rotate. We're going to watch this 1 or 2 more times, and we're going to watch Madison Cox do it as well, and then probably Mallory Comerford. Because like I said, this is the one to work on, especially if you're a younger swimmer. Because you're thinking, when you're swimming freestyle especially, you're thinking, freestyle's on my front, so I should push off on my front to help me out. No. Push and rotate. So watch it this one, and then we'll go to Madison Cox, then Mallory. See how they all do it. Boom. Pushed and rotate. So let's go to Miss Madison Cox. Look at that. She's on her front right there. But she doesn't push off on her front. So I'll try to give it a good pause. All right, look at this. Look where I just paused it. Look where her feet are. Look where her back. She's in streamline. She's on the wall. She's looking straight up. If she were to rotate, then push, her face would look at us while she's on the wall, and her stomach would be pointed towards us, and her feet would be pointed towards us. Watch how she pushes off. She pushes off, then she's already starting to rotate. Look at her feet, they're at 11. And look at that. By the time she's her feet are at the T, now she's rotated. Push and rotate. Plant your feet at 11, push, and then rotate. If you rotate, then you push, you're going to be on your stomach while you're still on the wall, and that is slow. So let's take a look at Mallory Comerford now. All right, this is a slow motion video, so hopefully you'll be able to see it so it doesn't act all weird and fuzzy. So that her hands are nice and tight within her body. Here she comes. Plants her feet. Pushes and rotates. Look at that. Now she's on her front. So want to make sure you're pushing and rotating. Push and rotate. Make sure everyone's in. Oh, got to get Amy Boots in here. And then finally, don't breathe on your breakout. As only if you're doing freestyle or butterfly. Next week we do open turns. But don't breathe on your breakout. Pretty easy one to do. When you're getting tired, it's a little bit harder to do. So we're going to look at one of the best in the world, Caleb Dressel. We're going to look at how he does his turn. You're going to be able to see how he pushes and rotates, and then see how he doesn't breathe on his breakout. Goes into his turn. Look at that. You can tell that he pushes and rotates because look where he's at now. You can see going into the turn that he's, boom, in it. And now look at that. He's on his, look at that. He pushed. Look at that. He's on his side. He's on his side. Look at that. He's still on his side, but he's still rotating. And now he's on his front. Great dolphin kicks. First stroke. Arm stays nice and tight like we've been talking about. Doesn't breathe on his breakout. This is an awesome turn. We'll come back to this video in a little bit as well. So those are our catechisms for good turns. For good turns, that's part of the turn game. Accelerate into your turn. Get faster into your turn. Connect your last stroke into your turn. Stay tight. Don't let your hands go really far apart. Make sure your knees are into your chest. Feet at 11. Push and rotate, and don't breathe on your breakout. So like I said, we're going to come back in Coach's Corner. We're going to talk a little bit about connecting your last stroke into your turn. So as your last stroke finishes, you should begin your turn. It's like we saw in the video, and I took a couple screenshots. We're going to go back to the Madison Cox video in a second. But here we go. Take a look here. Madison Cox, she has her last stroke. She's about halfway through the pole. Look at that. She has not started her turn yet. She's approaching the wall. She's accelerating. And here we go. Now she's a little bit further into her turn, and she's starting her turn. Look at that. She's starting to bow into the wall. She's starting to use her core to start her turn. So that's what you want to look at. As your stroke is finishing, use that to get into your turn. Use that to get into your turn. You want to keep that momentum going. A turn should be a rhythmic movement. So a lot of people, when they do their turn, like we talked about with backstroke, they'll do backstroke, stroke, freestyle stroke, turn. You want back, free, turn. So if a lot of people here play music, I certainly like to use music examples. You want to think of a turn as a legato movement. It's all connected. You don't want staccato. You don't want beep, beep, beep. You want it all connected. So think of it as 1, 2, 3, as opposed to 1, 2, 3. It went 1, 2, 3. Stroke, turn, push. Backstroke, freestyle, turn. So let's take a look at the Madison Cox video real quick, because that one's probably the best in terms of speed. Underwater, you can kind of tell. These are the screenshots I took. Last stroke, look at that. She's starting her turn, and she's about halfway through her pole. So I can get a little bit better. Look at that. Her last stroke just is finishing, and look at where she's at in her turn right there. So her last stroke, if you can see on my screen, right here, it just is finishing, and look at where she's at in her turn. She's about halfway where her head needs to be. So connect your last stroke into your turn. That's a big part of this. You want a rhythmic movement. Stroke, stroke, turn. Stroke, stroke, turn. And we'll watch some backstroke video of this in a little bit with Ryan Murphy and maybe Reagan Smith. But look at this right there. Stroke is finishing. Look where her head is. Look where her back is. She's beginning her turn already. Boom. So let's watch it one more time in real time. And then we'll watch Caleb Dressel above the water. Boom. Connected the turn. Beautiful. So now let's watch Caleb Dressel what that looks like above the water. So here you go. You can kind of see above the water. I'll try to give it a good pause. But you can see that last stroke finishing as he begins his turn. So look at that. If you can see on my screen, he started his turn and his last stroke is about halfway through below the surface. So he took his last stroke. Last stroke's about to enter. And look, he's already starting to turn. He's starting that bow into his turn. He's bowing into his turn already. You can tell his head's going under. Last stroke, if you can see on my screen, right there. So that he's not finished that last stroke yet, but he's already started his turn. Connect your last stroke into your turn. It's going to help you save that momentum. Like we talked about, what goes in is going to come out. So if you come in, let that last stroke finish fully, glide in, then turn, you're losing momentum. Finish that stroke into your turn. Think of it as a rhythmic movement. Awesome. So the next one, get under your wave. I want you to think about how fast you're going into a turn. You are going fast. You are making waves behind you with your kick, your head, your body, your arms. You are making waves. Now, obviously, the bigger and stronger you get, the more wave you're going to make. So your job, especially into a turn, is getting under that wave, and that's going to help you push off the turn under that wave. A side story, when I was still at Lake Country, there was a boy by the name of Lucas. He was a sophomore in high school, and he was trying to break 21 seconds in the 50 free. And we were at junior nationals, and every single time he's warming up with his turns, he's going in straight, he's pushing off right into his own wave. So during warm-ups before finals, we told him, hey, when you're going into your turn, you got to bow into your turn. You got to get your head under your wave, and then you got to push off under that wave that you're creating. Because he's a big dude. He was like 6'1", 180 pounds. He's a big dude. He's trying to go 20.9 or faster, so he's going fast. So at finals, he does a great job of getting under his wave, both into and out of his turn, goes 20.92, breaks the team record for 15-16 boys. Awesome swim. So your job is to get under your wave. So you look at Mallory Comerford here. She's finished her turn, last stroke. She's starting her turn. Look where her head is. Look where her back is. She's bowing into that turn. She's bowing into it. She's bending a little bit at her hips to get under her wave. And we'll see this in a lot of videos later on. You want to push off. So you want to start your turn by bowing into it, getting your head and back under the water, under that wave that you're creating. You can kind of see it behind her. And then when you push off, you want to get under that wave. I said you're going fast into a turn. You want to get under it. You want to bow into your turn. You want to attack it. So let's take a look at an example real quick. Let's take a look at that Ryan Lochte video again. It's a bad example. He's already starting his turn by then. All right, here we go. So that he's finishing his stroke, and look where he is. His head's under the water, back's under the water. He's bowing into his turn. Look at that right there. Beautiful. Bow into your turn. Get your head up and your upper back under that wave that you're creating. Let's take a look at Caleb Dressel above the water. Boom. That's where I paused it where I did. Look where he is. Head's under the water. Back is slowly getting under the water. Gorgeous. Bow into your turn. Head's under. Look at that. Lower back is under. And he's going fast. Look at all the wave that's coming up behind him. Look at all this wave right here. So he's got to get under that wave to go even faster. And let's say, look how he attacks off this turn. Look at that. Gets under his wave and attacks. So he's going full speed. Look at all the waves that are happening in this pool. He gets under his wave going into his turn, gets under his wave coming out of his turn. And then we use the Mallory Comerford picture as the example. So let's take a look at that. Look at that right there. Finished her stroke, bowing into her turn. That's pretty close to starting it. Look at that, bowing into her turn. Bend at the waist a little bit, get that head and upper back under your wave. And if you think about it, you're going that direction anyways. You're driving that head down and around anyways. So if you get that started a little bit earlier, your turn's gonna be a little bit faster. A lot of times I see younger swimmers think, oh, I'm gonna get a lot of power in this turn by bring my head up out of the water and then down. It's just a waste of time. You're wasting your time. Bend at the waist, get your head under, bow into your turn. You do not need to do a dolphin kick. You do not need to get your head up and down. You got to get into your turn. What goes in comes out. So the faster you can get in, the faster you can get out. Awesome. Make sure everyone's in. Perfect. And the last big one, sink into your wall. So I want you to think about a story here. Think about this example. When you're doing squat jumps or when you're trying to jump high, what's the best way that you could get as high as you can? Do you jump on your toes, on your tiptoes? No, that's good for jump rope, but you're not getting a lot of power out of jump rope. Do you want to scrunch up into a tiny ball as close as you can to the ground and then jump up? No, because then you're just wasting time and you're probably not going to jump as high. You want to make sure that you're at that 90-degree leg bend, like Ryan Lochte is right here. And you want to sink into the wall. So you want to drive your feet into the wall and push off. You don't want to drive in with just your toes. You don't want to drive in and crunch up your whole body into a super small ball and then push off. You're going to be just like Ryan Lochte is here. Feet on the wall, ready to explode and push off. Drive your feet into the wall, push off. And for all these older kids who've studied physics in middle school, if you think about this, is a lot like Newton's third law. That law says for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you push off the wall light, the wall's going to give you a light power. If you push off the wall strong, the more you're going to get out of it. If you push off the wall strong, you'll get more power off that turn. Now with this, there's two big don'ts that you do not want to do. A lot of times when I say this, some younger students will be like, oh yeah, if I sink into the wall, if I just stay on the wall for as long as I can, really sink into it as much as I can, stay, I'll just blast off the wall like a rocket. No, you do not want to spend a lot of time on the wall. You want to spend that split second, that extra 100th, 200th, 300th of a second to sink in and push off. If you're on the wall for more than that, now you're just wasting your time. Sink and explode. It's really hard to practice, so you got to make sure you're doing it. Sink and explode. And do not lose your line. Like we talked about the example, do not scrunch up into a tiny little ball and have your butt and your hips up against the wall, have your stomach is touching your knees, and then explode. That's not a good line. Imagine trying to push off into that. That would almost be like a backstroke start underwater. Be terrible. You almost would do a backflip. You want to hold that line just like Ryan Lochte is doing right now. Feet are sinking into the wall, not just his toes. He's nice and straight. He's not curled up into a ball. And he's going to push off nice and strong. So this is probably one of the hardest things to practice because sometimes you got to take the extremes. Sometimes you got to feel what that feels like to stay on the wall too long and push off. Sink into the wall, push off. Get as much power as you can, as quickly as you can, with your whole foot. So those are our three big kind of things that we also talk about in our turn game that are not necessarily catechisms, but are also super important. Thinking about connecting your stroke. Think about getting under your wave. Think about bowing into your turn. And think about sinking into that wall. Taking that extra split of a second longer to make sure you're getting as much power as you can. So those are our big turn coach's corner points. So we're going to take a little bit of time here before the trivia to watch a couple races. I think we're going to watch two probably really good ones. We'll watch a backstroke and we'll watch a freestyle. So we're going to watch Ryan Murphy at 2016 NCAAs. This is when he set the American record. He went 43-49, which is just absolutely ridiculous. So if you'd like to follow along, it's in the chat. The YouTube video is in the chat. So like I said, this is when he went 43-49 or something along those lines. But the biggest thing here is watch his turns. Watch how he's connecting his last stroke of backstroke into his freestyle stroke, and he bows into his turn. So I want you to take a look. Maybe I'll try to pause it here as well so you guys can see that. All right. He just if you're watching my screen, he just went to his freestyle stroke. And look at that. Look at where he's at underwater. If you can see on my screen, his head's underwater, upper back is underwater, and he's about to flip his legs over. Boom. So if you're watching on your screen, watch how he connects his backstroke stroke to his freestyle stroke. And when he does that, he's already under the water. Freestyle, he's bowing in. It is one quick movement. Look how rhythmical it is. Look how easy he makes it look. Freestyle stroke, look at that. He's almost starting to bow into his turn before his freestyle stroke even happens. Look at that. Look how far ahead he is of everybody. Just ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. So let's watch it one more time. Notice how his freestyle stroke, like we talked about, is going right into his bow, which is right into his turn. He's using that freestyle stroke to not only get closer to the wall, but to gain speed, gain that momentum that allows him to really attack his turn. Boom! By far the best turn in this field, and it's no reason why. He's a world record holder, Olympic gold medalist, all that stuff. And he does the same thing long course, too. If you watch him and Reagan Smith, both long course, they do the exact same thing. They attack that turn. Just incredible. Just incredible. So, well, we got some time. Let's watch Reagan Smith do this. We got time. So if you'd like to follow along, it is in the chat. It is in the chat if you'd like to follow along. We're going to watch Reagan Smith break the world record in the 200 back. Race starts at about the 210 mark. If you're watching my screen, the race just started. So you're going to watch the same thing that we just saw with Ryan Murphy. Her last backstroke stroke connects into her freestyle stroke, and it connects into her bow as well. She's not going back, free, turn. She's going back, free, turn. She's bowing into her turn. Same thing with Ryan Murphy. As her freestyle arm is coming over, she's getting under her wave. And this is just a great race to watch because she just went really fast. And this also shows that you can do this long course too. Great turns don't just happen in short course. They happen in long course as well. There's less turns in long course. That makes them even more important. Boom. Backstroke into freestyle into turn. Think about bowing into that turn, getting under your wave, sinking in that split second more, transferring that speed in some great underwaters. Because remember, the second fastest you'll ever be in a race is off that turn. So you want to get that power and that speed off that turn. Here she comes, last turn. Nail it. Boom. Use that freestyle stroke to get not only closer to the wall, but to gain that speed and momentum. That's an incredible race. Look how far ahead she is. That's just ridiculous. And up there in lane 2, that's Kathleen Baker, who went really fast at Nationals that year. She got a little injured, but still, this is how crazy fast she went. You notice how she finished? She finished straight, didn't do a dipsy-do. Awesome. All right, last race to watch, and then we'll do some trivia. We'll watch Abby Weitzel. This is at a pool that probably most of you swam at. This is at the University of Minnesota. At the University of Minnesota, one of my favorite pools. In this race, she went 20.9 in the 50 free, She was the first woman ever to do that. What I want you to watch here is how low she keeps her heels into that turn. It's kind of, with this angle, it's going to be kind of hard to see the things we talked about, but notice how tight she is and how low her heels are. I'll try to pause it if I can. It might be a little hard to see. So she's black cap right in the middle. Like I said, first woman ever under 21 in the 50 free. Just look at her go. Boom. I see, I couldn't even pause it. She was going so fast. You couldn't even see her feet because of how low her heels were. That's how tight they were. First woman ever under 21. Just a crazy great race. That's how I want to see you guys start celebrating more of. I need to see you guys starting to celebrate like that. Start slapping that water on a little bit more. All right, let's watch it one more time. Just, you can't even see her feet. They're so fast. That's why it's important to have a strong core. That's why these planks and all the core exercises we're doing during this quarantine have been so important. You got to be able to get those legs over the top, and you got to be able to stay low, and it's got to be fast. If you want to go 20.9, the 50 free, you got to make sure that you got a fast turn and you got a strong turn. One more time, just because it's so cool to watch swimming history. And we all know 50 free goes by so fast. If you have a great turn, that is a major advantage for you. If you have a bad turn, it's going to be hard to come back from that. Look at her. Oh, man. Look at her breakout. Just gorgeous. She Hun kills into that wall. Just an awesome swim. Just awesome. All right. So we'll wrap up today with some trivia. So remember, you can put your answers into the chat. Do not spam your answers. Just put them in the chat. And let's go here. Let's have some fun. All right, here we go. What's not a catechism for a flip turn? Is it accelerating to turn, feet at 11, double explosion, push and rotate? What's not a catechism for a flip turn? What's not a catechism for a flip turn? Accelerating your turn, feet at 11, double explosion, push and rotate. See the answer? C, double explosion. Hope I didn't get anybody with that one. I thought, ooh, we've been talking a lot about being explosive off the wall, being strong and powerful. Maybe I could get somebody on that one. So I'm excited to see the answers on that one. Where should your feet be on the wall? 11 or 1? Where should your feet be on the wall? 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock? Think about the direction you want to be facing when you push off the wall. If your feet are at 11, you'll be looking at the lane line, which is left side down. If your feet are at 1, you'll be right side down, which is looking at the middle of the pool. Where should your feet be on the wall? 11 or 1? Let's take a look. A, 11 o'clock. You want your feet at 11, push left side down, looking at the lane line, and rotate. Feet at 11. What should you do with your wave? Do you want to A, push right into it? You want to B, get under it? Or C, do you want to push over it? A, push right into it. B, get under it. C, push over it. What should you do with your wave? Think about when you're coming off that turn or going into your turn. What would it look like if you were to push into it? Think about what it would look like if you were to get under it. And think about what would it look like if you wanted to push over it. What would they look like? That will help you with your answer. We talked a lot about doing what? Starts with a B, ends in ow. What do you want to do with your turn? Hopefully everyone got this one. B, get under it. Absolutely. So if you push right into it, you would not do your bow. And if you were to push over it, you would do like a little dolphin dive over the water to get into that turn. That's definitely not what you want. That's the opposite of what we talked about. And then what do you do at the wall? You want to A, push off immediately. B, spend an eternity at the wall. C, push off with your hands, or D, sink and explode? A, push off immediately. B, spend an eternity at the wall. C, push off with your hands, or D, sink and explode? Think about what we talked about. Think what we saw with Ryan Lochte, what he did with his feet. Did he just have his toes on the wall? Did he scrunch up into a tiny little ball? Did he stay nice and long? Did he push off with his hands? What do we think here? Let's see. Hopefully, we all got this. It's D, sink and explode. If you said push off with your hands, I'm a little worried you might be in the future because that'll be next week. So let's see how we all did in the chat. Ooh, that's what I like to see. Excellent. That's what I like to see. Who said C is fly? That's right. Awesome. You guys all did great. Very happy to see all these right answers. We're going to be awesome at flip turns. So, that being said, hope you guys all enjoyed the clinic. May the 4th be with all of you. Watch some Star Wars tonight. You know I already am. I will be. We will see you all on Saturday for the leaders brunch. I am very sunburned. Look at that nice hat burn. Spent some good time outside. We'll see you on Saturday for the leaders brunch. Friday for the Friday race analysis clinic. So make sure you submit some races. And then Wednesday for some yoga. Star Wars is off. Megan. Gabby Blake, yeah, watch some Star Wars. How is it annoying?